Well, welcome back to Iron Railroad. Tonight we have another episode of the restoration project that's going to be going on. And let me tell you what we have. We have some parts, some engines that's basically junkers that we picked up at a local train show. A colleague and myself went to a local train show and we saw, well, maybe we'll use these for parts. And I'll tell you what we have. We have a royal blue and a couple of dilapidated silver bullets. And I'll show you what they look like. I think the royal blue is somewhat redeemable, but the silver bullet, well, I'm going to let you look at it and see what you think. So stay tuned, and we're going to go right to the project. This particular silver bullet was made in 1948, post-war. And my colleague, my friend, has the other one, the original one that we picked up at the show, which I fixed up for him. Is very similar to this one. It's a little bit different. This is a Type 1. The one he has is a Type 2. They look like almost exactly alike. The only difference is that the Type 1, which is this one, has a metal rail, and the Type 2 has a molded rail into the boiler. Other than that, everything's identical. So the Royal Blue has a reverse unit in the boiler. There's no chucker. There's no smoke. There is a headlight, and it has a reverse unit, obviously, going back and forth, and it runs well. It's a pretty neat looking locomotive. So what I have here and what he has is pretty much identical, and it runs well. I had to change out the brushes and the spring, and did some internal rewiring, and I had to makeshift some parts, different parts of the for the tender. There was really no operable tender, but he has one now. So this is what it looks like. It's a nice locomotive. Okay, now we'll go to the main menu. This is it. This is the silver bullet. This is the Type 1. This is the Type 2. And obviously it's not in the best shape, and I wonder if it could be restored. Well, this is missing the tender completely, except for the reverse unit is here. This one has a chassis and a reverse unit, but look what happened. This is repairable, I guess. I need to put in some washers here, some additional insulating washers and other washers, and the holding rubber washer on top. It should work. However, just to tell you what the difference is between a Type 1 and a Type 2. Type 1 initially came out with the beautiful chrome-plated engine. I mean, it's nice and bright. It's beautiful. It looks like chrome. However, the problem with this is that the chrome did not adhere to the black plastic very well, and it starts flaking off in time. As you can see with this one, it starts flaking off. So, A.C. Gilbert, American Flight, decided, well, we're not going to use the chrome anymore. We're going to paint the silver color. And that came out with the Type 2. This is the Type 2. It's painted. Obviously, it doesn't have the same sheen as the chrome, but it's still a pretty nice looking locomotive. Well, what else is wrong with these locomotives? It's missing the tender. This looks like it has all the linkages. This one does not have the linkage. In fact, I can't even use this boiler shell because whoever removed the linkage out of this particular locomotive just ripped it out. And if you will notice, the linkage is riveted into that one point here is riveted right into the shell. So in order to remove the linkage, you really have to pop out the rivet and then remove it. However, whoever removed this one did not do that. They just ripped it out, and hence you got a big gaping hole here, and renders this shell really not very usable at all. In fact, non-usable. However, good for parts. So I got this part here, I got this part here. Maybe the reverse units will work. The motors, I think the motors will be okay. I will test it out at a later time, but they seem to turn freely. It turns freely. So I'm just going to make an assumption now, assuming that it's okay. As long as the armature wiring and the fuel wiring is not broken. And with a little bit of TLC, I think we get it going. So both these locomotives will have the reverse unit in the tender and not in the boiler. They both have headlights. They both have smoke units, at least when it was made. And they both have the chuffers, so you can hear it go chucking. And I will explain more about this later on. So the first thing now, I'm just going to test out the reverse unit. Okay, I'll give power to this reverse unit, see if it works. Yeah, it cycles. Actually, it cycles pretty well with any additional work to it. So we know that reverse unit is good. The second one, let's see if it flips over. Yes, this one cycles too. I don't know if you can actually see it, but you hear it. So both reverse units are fine. I have to say, this one has the linkage, but the smoke unit is gone. Someone actually removed it. This one with the bad boiler shell does have a smoke unit, so I'm going to have to transpose this smoke unit into the good shell. And the other thing is I'm going to have to transpose the tender chassis with this one. So we have parts here. I think we have enough parts here to make one good locomotive. Now, will it be a silver bullet when I get done with it, or will it be just another Frankenstein type of a locomotive? Well, we'll see. I'll remove the smoke unit, the one that's the remaining one, and I'm going to test it out and see if this is still salvageable. If not, I may have to do some TLC or do some repairs with it. So let's give it some power and see what happens. I already added some smoke fluid into the smokestack. The smokestack is actually right here. This is the smokestack. I took the red glow tube out, which is actually, when the bulb lights up, it makes the red smoke internal red glow tube glow. And these are the connections here for the power. This is the smoke tube. This is a linkage that hooks up to a teeth gear, a round teeth gear, and that teeth gear actually is attached to a worm gear, and the worm gear is attached to the armature of the motor. So when the motor turns, the worm gear turns, it makes the teeth gear turn, and it's attached to this thing and makes it go in and out. That's the chuffing sound. That's how this works, is that there is actually a plunger. It's a die-cast plunger here and a die-cast tube. I don't know if you can see it. There's a little hole inside in the middle. You can see that. That's the pinhole. So when the plunger goes in, it pushes the air through that pinhole. The pinhole goes into the smoke box. And this is the reservoir on the bottom here. This is the reservoir where the flux smoke fluid is. And on top, you have the nichrome wire with the wick. So the wick will actually draw up the fluids into the wick. And as the power is applied, the nichrome wire heats up and it turns the smoke fluid into vapor and it comes out. So how does it come out? Well, when you have this chuffing sound, this plunger, it pushes the air through that pinhole that I showed you. It pushes the air through the smoke box and it pushes the smoke out through the tube. At the same time, at each turn of the drive gear, the drive wheel on the locomotive, this is pushed in. And you get one chuff sound, and one chuff sound, you get one puff of smoke coming out. So if you have multiple turns of the drive gear, the motor into the drive gear, into the teeth, into this plunger, it goes in and out, and you have your chuffing sound. All mechanical. This is all mechanical chuffing. There's no electronics, not like the Lionel New or the New American Flyer or Lionel electronic boards. This is all mechanical, and this will never break in 1,000 years. There's no gaskets involved. It's all die-cast. The tolerance is perfect, and you have this. It doesn't not require any lubrication. So, anyways, let me test this out and see if any smoke would come out of it. We're going to check at the same time. We're going to test the light. Turn the power on, and there's light. That means, as far as the electrical is concerned, it's perfect. It works. I'm going to just let this sit for a little bit and see if the nichrome wire will heat up and give us any smoke. And I'll give it in a minute. It shouldn't take that long. And I will help it along with the drive wheel to give that chuffer some movement. No, it doesn't appear to have any smoke. So I'm going to take it just one step further, and take it apart and see what it is. My suspicion is probably the nichrome wire and or the wick is burnt out. So let's see what happens. All right, I removed the top off. And it doesn't look very promising. Look at this. Not good. This is a total burnout. You see the nichrome wires going around, and that brown piece of cotton that should be a white wig. Obviously, that's why it's not working. Nothing wrong with it mechanically, but the most important part to make the smoke vapor is burnt out. So what needs to be done is to replace this. I will not demonstrate how to replace this since there'll be another video by itself, but I will tell you this though. For those who are handy enough to actually replace this by yourself, you got to be aware of one thing. After you have this wig and a nichrome wire, some of it come pre-wired already, so it's okay. It makes it a little bit easier, but you still have to check out the spacing between the nichrome wires. You need a meter to measure the ohms. It should be about 40 ohms apart. They're about 35, 40 ohms or thereabouts. Should be spaced apart. If you don't have the correct spacing, it's not going to work well. Initially, you get a lot of smoke, but then it may not last very long. If the ohms are wrong, let's say it's a higher ohm, you may get a lot of smoke, but you may burn out the wire soon, quicker than it should be. If you don't have enough ohms, well, enough voltage going through there, then you may get a little bit of smoke, but it'll be very mediocre, and you don't want that. So ideally, it should be around 40-ish, maybe a little less, thereabouts. You don't have to be too exact, but 35, 40, something like that. So that's what I found to be most effective. Most of the literature would suggest that too. So, but before you even put the wick and all that nichrome, make sure you clean the box completely. it's seen a lot of usage. So from 1953 on now, it's like, what, 50, 70 some years old? And still in good shape for 70-year-old smoke box. So next project is to put it all together, and I'm going to skip some parts here. The next step actually will be the stripping of put the tender back together again, and then I'll have to strip the shell of the old paint. And once I've done that, I'm going to start the repainting. Test it out and do the repainting. So that'll be tomorrow's project. So this is just day one. It's going to take 2 or 3 days to complete all this. Before I go on to the repainting section and actually the mechanical restoration, we have you here. I'd like to point out that I'm going to add a couple of lights to the front of this particular locomotive. If you will notice, this looks like these are molded in lights here, marker lights. It could be ditch lights, and you know what ditch lights are. I mean, it's required by Federal Transportation Department that some of the later locomotives must have ditch lights. But anyways, what I'm going to put in here are 2 lights. So if it's ditch lights, you can use the clear LED lights or the amber ones. I'm going to put in green marker lights, and this is how I'm going to do this. First of all, you need to get the LED lights, the small ones. I think they're like 12 millimeter or something like that. Anyway, the small ones. And there's 2 sets here. One for each of the lights here. And I will show you how it's going to be installed. First of all, there's 2 sets here. They're red wires and black wire. Bundle up the black and the red together because you're going to solder these together. One's a negative, one's a positive. Doesn't matter which is which. It's okay. So what you got to do is, when you solder these together, you keep both together because they're going to act in unison. Each wire, both the red and both the black will act in unison. So you have like that. Okay, and where do these 2 ends go? Well, let's see. I'll bring back the light socket here. If you will notice, there's power to the light socket already. So many people ask me, well, what do I do with the LED lights? Do I run this back to the tender for power? No, you do not have to run this back to the tender for power. You could take the power source right off the light socket. In fact, it doesn't matter the red or the black. One set will be soldered onto the side of the light socket. That'll be one end, and the opposite one will be to the bottom of the socket, where this round looks like a round rivet here. So you have a positive and negative, and that's all you need to do. So now you have power. So how does this go into the pilot area? Well, you already know that you know where it goes, so you need to drill 2 holes. One here and one here. And what I suggest you should do is use 2 different size drill bits, and one smaller, one larger. The reason why I use a smaller one is because it will prevent the plastic from fracturing. If you use too big of a drill bit, it may fracture the hole and render the hole useless. So the first size, I use a 564. That's SAE, not metric. 564 drill bit to produce the first hole, and then to widen it, I use the next size, which is a 1/8. And that's perfect because This will fit the 1/8 hole perfectly well. And when you insert this, you insert it like this. Insert it from the back end, from the inside outward, like this way. And you keep it in there. Add a touch of a drop of glue. Let it dry, and it will stay put. There's no stress on the points here, so a drop of glue is perfect. And that's it for the lights. And then once the power comes on for the smoke unit and the headlight bulb, this will come on too, because it's all one source, one power source. Oh, the other thing I want to note is that you could buy these LED lights that's pre-wired with the resistors. It saves you a lot of trouble, a lot of time. You don't have to add the resistor separate from the LED lights. This is all one unit, and just plug it in and you're ready to play. That's it. Okay, so tomorrow I'm going to strip down the shells, make sure the mechanicals are okay, the engine runs well, the motor is good, brushes are clean or replaced, and the paint job begins. Okay, this is actually day 3 of the project. I got the mechanics working well. The train runs. I also did the paint job. I did the preliminary prep for the paint. I did the primer and actually have the yellow paint. So the silver bullet now is converted into a yellow Union Pacific. A little bit different, but I thought this would be interesting to make. I added rails for cosmetic. I added the steel rail. These are American fly gauge, S gauge wires, and that's the rail for the length here, and also added one here. And these are available from your hobby supplier. You know, package of 10. They're not expensive overall, but makes it look nice. I also beginning to add some decals. I started with the tender already. I'm not finished with the boiler, but these are basically HO size stripes that I use. But it's perfect. You will see once I apply it to the locomotive, you'll see it. That'll be tomorrow's project. So right now, I'm going to wait till tomorrow to finish up this other side, and once it's complete, I will clear coat the decals so that it doesn't come off and it's going to be durable. So stay tuned for the next part tomorrow. Okay, day 3. Decal is all completed. I added some stripings to the Union Pacific. And some striping there. The LED lights are in. It's functioning perfectly well. So I'm going to give some power and just show you what it looks like. And that completes the project. Now we have a Union Pacific, formerly a Silver Bullet. I hope this helps you with the restoration projects and give you some new ideas. Thank you for watching Iron Railroad. Keep them trains running. This is Doug. Bye.